What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Theology and Worship Podcast. We exist to equip the worshipers for spirit and truth worship. Hey, guys, wanted to give you an update on what's going on in my life. The podcast is going to be taking a break for a couple of weeks, not a long one, and that is because I'm going to Nepal. This is so crazy and so random, but I'm going to Nepal with one of my team members, whose name is Noah, to build a soccer field in the Himalayan mountains outside of a small village called Chippewa. This is crazy because I just don't believe that this is where God is taking me, and it's going to be a wild ride. We're talking about a 22-hour flight. Really, there's going to be an 18-hour flight, huge layover, another 4-hour short flight. Then we've got a day in a Jeep. Then we've got a day actually climbing a mountain, a Himalayan mountain. And it's all to say that God He's crazy. He's crazy, and he likes to do things that you do not see coming. If you know me at all, or if you've listened for long enough to start to get to know me, I don't hike. I don't backpack. I don't even necessarily go outside very much. And so for him to take me into the Himalayan mountains is wild. Not only that, I'm not the craziest fan of soccer, right? I am outspoken about how I wish offsides wasn't a rule and there was more points on the board. And God is changing my heart. I'm actually liking soccer now because of what we're about to do. I want to talk about what we're doing here because basically I met this kid named Noah. He came on staff here at the church I work at, Shoreline. In fact, I'm the one who hired him. I found his resume in literally a stack of hundreds of resumes. Right away, his resume stood out to me. I don't know why. There wasn't a demo reel. It was just basically a link to his photography website, and I was hiring a filmmaker. So this didn't really make sense. As I was sifting through resumes, one of my rules was no demo reel. I'm not going to give this any more attention because I'm going through so many. But there was something about his that caught my attention. I clicked. His photos were amazing. And a lot of them were from Nepal, actually, because that's where he's from. And so, I just asked him for a demo reel, which later I found out he cut that night to try and get the job, which is so awesome knowing that now. And he sends it to me, and I'm like, this kid's got a good eye. So we start talking over, Skype and whatever. The kid's story is crazy. He survived a civil war in a third world village in the mountains of the Himalayas in Nepal. And he, was put in an orphanage to survive a Holocaust. And his dad is radically saved and miraculously healed of Alzheimer's. And his whole village then turns to Jesus because of this miraculous event. Meanwhile, he's in an orphanage in Nepal, escaping genocide, and eventually meets a missionary who gets him over to America to be, go to Liberty University for education. And then, he randomly puts up a draft of a resume that he was working on. He accidentally posts it instead of saving it as a draft. And then I find it and hire him. And, it's just been a whirlwind. And so what's amazing to me about Noah is ever since I met him, his heart was always to get back to his village to make it a better place. As I got to know him, one of the first, he's passionate about a few things: coffee, soccer, and movies. That's Noah in a nutshell. But one of the things that happened here is that he loves soccer, and he was explaining to me that he would love and wish to go back to Nepal to build a soccer field and to make a documentary out of it. And as we're talking about a soccer field, I'm like, why a soccer field? Like, what's the deal there? Like, why don't we get plumbing or build a house or something like that? And of course, when I think of soccer field, my mind goes to a Western idea of turf and paint and nets and stadium. That's where my brain goes. But what he's really talking about is getting the community of his village together, giving them the resources and the ability to make something together that the kids in the village and surrounding villages can actually use to build community and to come together. And it was, for me, it was like this amazing aha moment of like, this is what the church should be doing. Not saying that it should be building soccer fields, but this is an actuality of heaven coming to earth. The soccer field is it's going to be a level ground. There's not going to be turf or grass. It's going to be a leveled out ground, rocks removed, a retaining wall built to make sure that it stays level, and nets and balls that have been given by other third-party nonprofits. And it's really taking the chaos of the earth and putting it into order, and doing it in a way that it sustains the earth around it. It's still earth, and it's not bringing in other things that are unearth. It's still earth, but it's brought into order for the purpose of humans to return to the community of humanity, and to play, and to have joy, and to build something with their hands. When I heard that, I was like, man, I want to go. I want to be a part of this. And so we pitched it to our pastor, and I thought, this is so weird, right? Building a soccer field in a third world country in Nepal. There's no news out there. There's nobody's going to be putting this on their Instagram. There's not going to be any celebrities involved, probably, although there might be now, which is crazy to think about. But, so I pitch it to him, and his eyes also light up. Because why? Because we have this whole thing called the Caleb House, right? Honoring the legacy of his son who transitioned to heaven. And his son was all about sports and competition and the joy of being on a team and winning and losing well, and just the whole idea of games. That was part of his legacy. And so of course he's like, let's go do this. And I'm like, what the heck? Okay, we're going to do it. And he's like, who's gonna go? And I'm like, Noah and me, your worship leader. And he's just like, yes, let's go, let's do it. And he's giving me almost 3 weeks to go and do this thing, and I'm just like blown away and so blessed. And I just felt like I wanted to share it on the podcast, number one, so you would understand why there's not going to be a posting for a couple weeks, but number two, because I don't know, I think go do something. Like, go do something, anything with your time and your money. Like, just go return. If you see some chaos, like, go into that chaos and turn it into order. I don't know if you know this, but that was actually the first design for humanity, right? It's the first job that was given to Adam and Eve. Go into the earth, subdue it, take the chaos of the ground and turn it into order. And out of that order will spring humanity, community, fellowship, family. And so I just want to encourage my listeners, go do something wild. Because when this idea first floated by me, I was like, I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that, right? It's crazy. Nobody's going to actually do that. And as it turns out, I'm going to do it, and Noah's going to do it. My wife is releasing me to do it, and my pastor is releasing me to do it. And it all started because we were willing to take somebody into our culture and context. And Noah really has become family to us now, who is different from us. He's from Nepal. He's different. He thinks different. He sees different. He tells stories differently. And so just be willing to open up your house and your heart to someone who's not like you and listen to their dreams. And those dreams might become your dreams, and eventually those dreams might become a reality. You might see, in some small way, heaven coming to earth, chaos coming into order, humanity being returned to humanity.